Member from Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes Province.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Attorney General. Over the last few months, I've travelled across the province meeting with police and frontline service providers who expressed frustration about the government's lack of action on human sex trafficking. Just last Friday, I was in Hamilton meeting with the local police and victim organizations who echoed the same frustration. They told the story of a girl at a local university who was pursued by a fellow student, convinced to go on a date with him, but he proved to have other motivations and manipulated her into a situation where she was trafficked. What this shows is can happen to anyone, and it is happening across the province as we speak. The government may say they've taken action, but to date, no one on the front lines is clear on the details. So my question is to the Attorney General, is the government ready to admit that they can't keep up on the human sex trafficking and that they are failing the children and all the other victims of this evil, evil crime?
Minister responsible for women's issues.
The Minister responsible for women's issues.
Thank you, Speaker. I thank the member for the important question. We know human trafficking is a complex issue, and our message to those who engage in this horrible crime is very, very clear. It will not be tolerated in Ontario, and none of its forms. And that's why we launched our strategy, Speaker, in June. Up to $72 million is committed to this initiative, and action is underway, Speaker. There's many actions underway across a number of different ministries.
We're doing quite well, thank you. Keep it that way, please. Thank you.
We are setting up the Provincial Anti-Trafficking Coordination Office with Community and Social Services. We're establishing a Provincial Human Trafficking Prosecution Team. We're expanding a quick victim response team and enhancing Victim Crisis Assistance Ontario program. Many other initiatives are underway.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it is just a message because there is no action, and I'm going to go back to the Attorney General. I'll remind the Attorney General that his own predecessor is on record as saying, quote, "We don't know enough about human trafficking." Frontline service providers and workers do know, and they are exasperated that there is still nothing advancing the law to support them in fighting this horrific crime. In fact, the legislative measures in my private member's girl, such as the protection order, could have directly helped protect the victim in Hamilton that I just mentioned. Legal changes and awareness efforts are part of the solution. So my question to the government is simple. Will you bring the Saving the Girl Next Door Act up for debate at committee, and will you support it through to the end?
Minister.
Well, Speaker, this member was part of the Roundtable on Sexual Violence and Harassment, and she was very active in that, and I acknowledge her efforts for that. But she also knows that our strategy is comprehensive. It's multi-ministry, involves a lot of different investments, and there's dedicated resources, Speaker, and a coordinated planning process. So our strategy is much, much broader than creating a task force or the legislative changes in her Bill 158. A cornerstone of this strategy, as I mentioned, is the Anti-Human Trafficking Office. It requires a lot of work by different ministries, different levels of government, police forces. This is complicated. It will take time to solve, but we've already taken steps, Speaker. We're investing across the system. I hope she joins me in supporting the investments that we're making to end this horrible crime.